Understanding different kind of motor driver is very important in robotics, because if you are working with a DC motor, then it is very important to understand different kind of motor driver that you can use. So a motor driver could be this larger and this smaller. So this can go up to 0.5 ampere at maximum, but this can go up to 30 ampere at maximum. So if you are working with those small DC motor like N12T DC motor, then these are very great. But if you are working with those humongous motor driver, then this motor driver is perfect. And in this video, I'll be explaining each of these motor driver different categories, their configuration. And over the next videos, I will be explaining each of them with very specific application with a specific project built with this. So starting with our first motor driver, that is MX1508 motor driver. So looking at the key specification and key feature of this MX1508 motor driver, we will be getting dual H-pitch motor driver, and it will be having the feature of bidirectional control. We can also control N20 DC motors if you are working with a small project like an RC car or a small SPI based project. So you can go with this kind of N20 motor and you can control this using MX1508 motor drivers. So looking at the key electrical feature of this motor driver, we will be getting an operating voltage of 2 to 7.5 volt. I would suggest go up to 6 volt or 5 volt. This is very better and safe voltage for this one. Also, we will be getting logic voltage compatibility of 1.8 volt to 5.5 volt. So this will be best for your ESP32 based project or Arduino based project. Talking about the current capacity, it can go with up to 1.5 ampere in continuous current and at a 2.5 ampere of peak current. So looking at the internal feature of this motor driver, we will be getting thermal protection, that is TDS, auto recovery, and a low standby current that is less than 0.1 ampere. This motor driver is good for your small RC project or any small toy because it has an ultra compact size, a lightweight module, and it has a simple pin interface for your microcontroller like ESP32 and Arduino based controllers. Now looking at the next motor driver, that is L298N. This is one of the most popular motor driver you can find out in the market, and these are really cheap and very efficient and very good for your basic project. So looking at the key specification and key feature of this motor driver, we will be getting a dual H-bridge driver. So this can control two different DC motors at the same time. Here you can see this is the first terminal, this is the second terminal, and it is a bidirectional control. So you can actually control a DC motor on forward or any reverse direction. You can also control the speed of your DC motor driver using these pins given in the board. Looking at the electrical specification of this board, you can apply up to 5 to 25 volt, but I would suggest go up to 12 volt at maximum. So it comes up with a logic voltage of 5 volts, so you can use your ESP32 or Arduino which are 5 volt compatible with this motor driver. Talking about the output current, it can go up to 1 to 1.5 ampere at a continuous and 2 ampere at a peak. So looking at the key specification of this board, it has a built-in 5 volt regulator which you can use to power up your Arduino or microcontroller with it. And it also comes up with this heatsink included on top of it because it is using BJT which generate a lot of heat, so heatsink is very important here. And looking at the terminal, you will be getting screw terminals here, so you can use your DC motor wires to connect with it, and you can also power it up with a 12 volt power supply using this screw terminal. It also has enable A and enable B pins using which you can control the speed of your DC motor. This motor driver is very popular, but there are lots of drawbacks with it. So first thing is it is using BJT, that is bijunction transistor, which generate a lot of heat. That's why we got this bulky heatsink on top of it. So if you have budget constraint and if you want to build some RC car or some RC toy, then go with this motor driver. They are really cheap and you can easily find them out there in the market. Now let's look at the BTS7960 motor driver. This is one of my favorite motor driver because there are lots of features and I have used this motor driver a lot in my project. At the key specification of this board, this is a bidirectional control board, so you can control a DC motor in forward as well as the reverse direction. It also controls the speed of a DC motor driver using the PWM control, so you can actually apply PWM signal using this pins here and you can actually control the DC motor speed. Looking at the electrical specification of this board, this has an operating voltage of 5 to 27 volt, but here I would suggest go up to maximum 24 volt. Next is the current capacity, so you can go up to 43 ampere at the peak and 10 to 20 ampere at a continuous current. It has a logic level support of 3.3 volt to 5 volt, so you can use your Arduino and ESP32 based microcontroller to control your DC motor. So looking at the core specification of this board, it is based on BTS7960 chip, which you can see here on top of it. The best part about this motor driver is that it uses MOSFET, which is very efficient, and it produces less heat compared to the L298N motor driver, which uses BJT transistor to control the DC motor. So looking at the technical specification of this board, this comes up with this large heatsink on its base, so this dissipates overall heat that generate on this board. So if you want to control those monstrous motor using using this, and if you want to build some big RC car, then I would suggest go with this motor driver. They are very efficient and very cheap. So next is the SmartElex 15D. This is one of my favorite and easy to use motor driver. So the best part about this microcontroller that I really like is that you won't be requiring any microcontroller to control the DC motor using this board. You can directly use your FSI6 or any other receiver or transmitter based circuit, and you can directly connect the pins with the RC1 and RC2 channel here on the board, and you can directly power it up and control your DC motor. You won't be requiring any configuration or any kind of microcontroller to control this board. So looking at the key specification of this motor driver, it is a dual channel motor driver, so you can use two different DC motor to connect with this single board, and you can control that. So looking at the current capability, it can go up to 13 to 15 ampere at a continuous current and 30 ampere at a peak. It also has a bidirectional control and a braking system in it, so it can go forward, backward, and also it has a braking system. So if you stop giving any input to this board, then it will stop the motors immediately. Looking at the core specification of this board, it uses MOSFET based H bridge, which is very efficient, and it generates less heat compared to those BJT and other transistors. This board also comes up with a 16 kHz switching frequency, which is really amazing for this kind of board. Looking at other core specification of this board has a built-in microcontroller or the RPi chip, that is Raspberry Pi chip here you can see on top of it. And this board also supports 4 different modes, so PWM, analog, RC, which is my favorite, and next is the serial communication. So using this Type-C connector here, you can directly send certain serial communication or serial command to this board using your Jetson Nano or Raspberry Pi kind of single board computer, and you can control any kind of DC motor using this. So smart motor driver are perfect for your RC based car where you don't require any microcontroller or any external controller with it. So the next motor driver is the SmartElex 30D. So the only changes or the specification changes in this board you will be getting is that it can go up to 85 ampere at peak. It also has the dual channel and 30 ampere at a continuous, which is really amazing for this size board. And it also has a bidirectional control, so you can control your 2 DC motor attached to this in a forward or a reverse way. So in this motor driver you will be getting this screw terminal. So these two are for the DC motor driver and the middle one is for your battery connection. So here you can see the B plus and B minus. So similar to your SmartElex 15D, it also got these 4 different features, so serial, PWM, analog, and RC. So again, using your RC receiver and transmitter, you can directly control DC motor using this driver. So almost all the data are related and almost same to 15D. I will try to put the data sheet of both of this driver on the description. So talking about the next motor driver, I need to make a little space here. So this is Cytron MDDS30. So this is a motor driver which is used for those, high grade projects. If you're working on Mars rover or some kind of, those projects where you will be requiring those monstrous motor or planetary gear motor which consume a lot of current. So you can go with this motor driver. This can go up to 30 ampere at continuous, so you can supply a continuous current of 30 ampere to your motor or the DC motor, and you can control those without any problem. So now let's see the core specification of this board. So this is Cytron 30D. So it is the best for beast. So if you are using those beast motors, then this is really amazing motor driver you can use with. So it is a dual channel motor driver, so you can again control 2 different DC motor attached to this terminal or the screw terminal here. It has a high current capability, so it can go up to 30 ampere at a continuous, which is really amazing, and 80 ampere at a peak, which is crazy. Looking at the technical specification of this board, it has overcurrent protection, thermal shutdown. So when it went to 80 degrees Celsius, then the speed of your DC motor will be reduced, and when it reaches 100 degrees Celsius, then it will shut down itself automatically. And it has a current limiting up to 30 to 35 ampere, which is really amazing. Looking at the operating voltage, so you can supply 6.8 to 30 volt to the input terminal using this screw terminal here. It has a PWM control support, so you can also go with the PWM way, and it is same as the 15D or SmartElex 15D and 13D. It also got this RC connector here, so you can directly go with your RC transmitter receiver set and directly connect it with your receiver, that is RC1 and RC2. And it also has a built-in microcontroller. It supports 4 different modes, that is RC mode, which is my favorite again, PWM, analog joystick, and serial mode. So you can build any kind of project using this. So most probably when you are working with RC rover or when you are working with those combat projects where you require those beast motor to be controlled using any DC motor, then this is the best DC motor driver, I could say. This board also come with the real cost, so it cost me around 6,000 or 5,000, something like that. So if you're working on those smart project or some industrial grade project, then I would suggest go with this kind of motor driver. So this is all about this different motor driver. I have explained this in this video, and if you are liking my content, then please do like and subscribe. This take a lot of effort from my side, because building all these notes and making this project require a lot of effort. So if you're someone who is liking my content, then please do subscribe my channel, and I will be looking you on the forward video where I will be showing you the real application of all of this board, and I'll be actually driving and building some cool project using this driver on upcoming videos. So be connected with me. I am Vikas. I love robotics. See you on the next video. Till then, bye.